Hello class, hello professor. My name is Bianca Ramirez and today I will be presenting suicide rates among youth in the US. So suicide has been the third leading cause of death for youth between the ages of 10 and 24. But within the years, it has been increasing among girls between the ages of 10 to 14. The rate has increased of 1.7 per 100 people. The contributing factors have been mental health illnesses and environmental factors for an increase of suicidal behaviors. Therefore, some social determinants of health that involve suicide would be environmental, social, and community factors. Some reasons for high suicide rates among youth have been earlier puberty in life. Puberty also can cause psychological disorders such as depression, anxiety, or having high rates of untreated depression. Also social networks and substance abuse among youth. If you look at the map on the right corner, the red states are the states that have the highest suicide rates among youth in 2016. And these states have been the same actually within the last 5 years. So between 2011 and 2016, it's been mostly concentrated on the west part of the United States, as you can see. So in the social ecological model that I created, there's intervention levels for the individual, interpersonal, organizational, community, and policy level. An intervention for suicide in the individual level would be having individuals notice warning signs for others who might be at risk for suicidal attempts. And something that can hinder that is people not knowing those warning signs. And then the second level, interpersonal level, is the available resources in schools, such as social groups, free counseling programs, physical activity, or other coping techniques. What can hinder this intervention for youth is family expectation, peer pressure, social media pressure can increase the likelihood of suicide among youth. And then the third level is organizational level, which an example can establish a model school district policy on suicide prevention. The policy can support school personnel, provide handbooks, suggestions of how to involve parents in suicide prevention, and guidance of what to do in the case of the youth has a suicide attempt. Something that can hinder this level of intervention is schools not having suicide awareness week or resources available for students or parents. Currently, there are only 27 states in the United States that require educators to receive suicide prevention training. And the purpose for my role for this project, as I chose to be a health educator, mine would be at the organizational level because I really want to target schools and staff and faculty that are in schools to really emphasize the interventions that need to be placed during school hours, since these kids are spending most of their time at school. Now, the community level, an intervention there, having many community partnerships on how to tackle mental health issues among youth can also help get new ideas, and it can help implement other interventions. And then also it'll reducing stigma is also very important. And the National Suicide Prevention Awareness Week is September 5th through the 11th. So perhaps having schools incorporate that during their fiscal year. And something that might hinder is the community stigma towards suicide. Since mental health illnesses are stigmatized due to youth's attitudes, practices, and lack of understanding mental health, the community may not want to talk about it and kind of like want to hide it under the rug. And then at the policy level, what intervention that can help in the policy level would be private institutions speaking about the importance and collecting their own data. There have been research organizations that have created a national overview of mental health costs and utilization among youth. So pretty much really educating people on the importance and how and the reason why suicide among youth is a very important public health issue. Some of the hinders for policy level intervention can be lack of funding for mental health issues, also laws that don't have like equal coverage for mental health and physical health care. So and mental health care not being a priority, and then also maybe there's no current statistics on mental health, on suicidal rates and other mental health issues. So the three proposed interventions that I made for this project is the gatekeeper training to prevent suicide among adolescents, and then the cognitive behavioral therapy, and lastly the teen cope program. Now the gatekeeper program training would be designating people from the school to notice, engage, and talk, which is the actual training of the intervention. So gatekeepers would be established by the school, and they would teach them about how the warning signs and teach them of how to be there for youth to get help. So, and then after that, they would go on and direct them to a medical professional, which is the reason why I chose the second intervention, which is a cognitive behavioral therapy, is that having medical professionals at school use this type of therapy to talk to youth so they can decrease their suicidal thoughts or have less suicidal attempts. The cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on solutions for problems and change in their behavior. Now, the TCOPE programs stands for Thinking, Emotions, Exercise, Nutrition, and then COPE stands for Creating Opportunities for Personal Empowerment. So this program is a 15-session program plus a 20 minutes session of exercise, and it pretty much just teaches students how to come up with coping mechanisms and how to avoid thinking traps and how to turn their negative thoughts into positive ones, and it incorporates exercise. And so the gatekeeper training would be at the individual level, the cognitive behavioral therapy would be interpersonal, and the TCOPE program would be organizational, based on the social ecological model. So here's the proposed evaluation. The gatekeeper training findings indicated that more than 25% of teachers were approached by suicidal adolescents. Cognitive behavioral therapy reduced 50% of suicidal attempts, and in the TCOPE program, it decreased suicidal thoughts and behaviors for students even at home. So some challenges and barriers: gatekeeper not being able to identify warning signs, assuming that others will intervene, and for the cognitive behavioral therapy, students not feeling comfortable to approaching a medical professional, and the TCOPE program is students not finishing the sessions. Here is my logic model, and here is a resource. my references. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.